So let's get started. So welcome back, everyone. Hope you had a great Memorial Day weekend and got some R&R in. So this is the weekly Quick Hits Live training where I am integrated marketing. We'll go through the opportunities and materials in that week's Quick Hits, which was sent today. So let me just share with you what it looked like. So we'll hear updates today from sports and CMG. On the sports end, we'll hear about NFL and fantasy, very exciting. And then and horse racing as well, which is great. And then from CMG, from the CNET Media Group, and we'll hear about some COVID-19 insights and updates to the personal finance and wellness decks. So with that, I'll kick it over to Nikki to walk us through CMG.
Great, thanks, Natalie. So everyone here already knows, it's really clear that all our daily habits, all our daily behaviors have changed a lot in all the different aspects of our life. And at CMG in particular, we've seen that the different areas of advice where we've been giving a lot of content has actually been become more timely and more relevant than ever before in the past few months. So today we're going to go through the first two areas that have been impacted really quickly and really immediately, and that's our wealth and our health. So we're going to start with personal finance. And let me just share my screen right here. But I'm happy to announce that the personal finance section is finally live. So it's up on the CNET homepage. If you just go through the navigation bar, we have our own section over there. We have a full homepage and everything, and it's doing really well. And it's coming at a time where people are really saving for a rainy day. So in these times, everyone really has to expect the unexpected, and a lot of people are prioritizing their financial stability more than ever before. And people are doing things like trying to figure out how to access government checks, checking their savings and investment accounts day by day on their mobile apps. And if you're anything like me, trying to figure out how to online shop for groceries or important things like toilet paper that you can't find anywhere in stores anymore. So there are really a lot of different things that have been changing in the way that we shop, the way that we save, and the way that we invest our money. And these decisions, and it really comes down to the ways that we decide on all of these things. So these decisions kind of boil down to two things. It's how to figure out how to do things digitally and remotely when we don't have access to things like physical banks or physical stores to shop in. And also how to be more proactive about your finances and keep on track to hit your goals. And this means things like checking your financial situations to make sure that everything's still afloat, and also trying to pay more attention to price while shopping. And with this, the problem that we're seeing now is that people really need to just understand what the global economy is doing to their individual lives and reevaluate the different financial decisions with those new circumstances and with that new lens. And so CNET is here to show you all the tech tips and tools to help you understand your current situation and empower you to make the right choices. And like I mentioned, this section is already live. We've actually organized all of the content on here to address all the different financial goals that someone might have, everything from money basics to saving money to buying a house, etc. It's all clearly displayed there. And then we've also seen that when we launched this in April, we actually launched with the right answers at the right time. So it was really exciting to see that there was so much traction immediately right in our launch month. And we got 33 million UVs on the section itself just within the first 15 days. And this is that 33 million is already like 20% of the entire CNET traffic for that 1 month. So we know that we built that immediate trust with our readers, and people were able to come to us for advice on things like how to track your stimulus check or figuring out the different robo-advisors you could use in 2020. And it doesn't stop there. So we really don't want this to end once the shelter in place situation is lifted, we really have content for the rest of the year to keep our readers informed and interested on all the different aspects of personal finance. So we wanted to keep this all timely and relevant. So we even bumped up something like budgeting, which used to be a Q4 topic, up to Q2, just knowing that this is something that a lot more people are paying attention to at this point in time. And with that, we really want to keep the momentum going here. So we have a lot of video series opportunities that everyone is really excited about, including our edit team. And this is all in addition to the current video series opportunities that we've talked about previously with our collaborations with CBS News' Money Watch. So in addition to that, we have 3 new video series ideas on the table and that are available to sponsor today. So the first one is My Money Matters. And this is a series of deep dive interviews with everyday people like you and me, millennials, parents, retirees, etc., who are giving people a sneak peek into their personal finances in everything from how they earn to how they spend and how they save their money. So with this series, you're going to see a really detailed peek into how people manage their finances and get a little inspiration for how maybe you could do it as well. And then our second series is What the Finance. So this one is a little bit more of an explainer series where we have CNET editors and maybe even some celebrities in the finance world giving you a little bit of insight on how these different personal finance apps differ and what they can do for you and your current situation. And then lastly, the one that I'm actually personally most excited about is How I Hustle, which is a series that profiles different entrepreneurs who have taken their side hustles and have turned them into full-time businesses. So this will take you through every step of the journey, from ideation to what paperwork to file, to like who to partner with, how to get investors, etc., to figure out how people are driven to build up their own businesses from scratch. And with that, that's everything for personal finance. So I'm going to pass it on to Michelle to talk about the wellness aspect.
Thanks, Nikki. I'm just gonna go on the screen. For those who don't know me, I'm teammates with Nikki, and I lead all of the CNET wellness efforts. So with that, before I run through our new opportunities that we're really excited about as well, I want to briefly share how we're seeing behavioral shifts when it comes to wellness and how CNET is well positioned to help people learn and adopt new healthy habits so they can make informed decisions. So like Nikki's approach, it's no surprise. We're seeing people take a rise in more concern in their health, and they're adjusting new methods to keep on top of that health. So whether it's using a grocery delivery service to try and eat healthier or starting a self-care routine. And on a personal note, I definitely had to adjust on how I stayed active. I had only tried an at-home fitness class once, and with my usual resources like the gym gone, I decided to turn my living room into a fitness studio a few times a week. And through a little bit of research, using CNET a bit, I found fitness instructors and stuff that keep me motivated. So, and then another trend in general that we see too outside of at-home fitness is telemedicine. So people are having to become more reliable on remote medical care, which can honestly be nerve-wracking if you're used to getting care face-to-face, which I know a lot of us are. So a lot of these people are starting these new routines for the first time. Because of that, people are relying on trusted sources more than ever. So the problem that CNET Wellness identified is people want to invest in their health, but aren't prepared to make informed decisions to do so. So they need to understand what are the best options out there and how do they work. CNET is there to break down the tips and tools to help people make those right decisions for their own goals. And for over 10 million people in April, CNET served as that trusted source and problem solver. Especially during these uncertain times, CNET Wellness has continued doing what it does best, and that's helping consumers make better decisions. Through an internal audience survey, we learned that some people picked up new wellness habits, while some kept their existing habits, like cooking, but are spending much more time focused on it. And another thing that's pretty important to call out is that our users expect to adopt and maintain these new habits and skills, even as things begin to settle down. So this need for information is not going to end when the madness does. So how has our content continued to address people's evolving wellness interests and needs? We've done this through a topical approach where we're covering best practices, guides, and latest news on each aspect of your health. What I'm most excited about, and I know the team is that we now have sponsorable standalone video opportunities that map to each of these wellness verticals that are laid out on the screen. I'll give a general overview in this training, but each opportunity slide within the full deck on DocSend we sent out will be a great resource for more information. And of course, these are always in addition to our existing sponsorships and our cross-BU efforts like with CBS News Health Watch. So for fitness, Edit is focusing on covering, as I talked about earlier, at-home fitness in greater detail, and we're offering a workout from home video series that will be led by a fitness guru and feature a physical therapist who will provide an expert opinion on the value of working out with tech, plus share tips and best practices. When it comes to healthy eating, we're focused on cooking at home and meal kit delivery services. So for that, we have a sponsored opportunity, Weighing My Options video series, which includes CNET breaking down the various diets out there. And we're going to feature nutritionists, dietitians, and people that have attempted the diet to lend their expertise and experience. The self-care vertical is focused on covering routines and skincare products heading into the second half of the year. And we're offering a self-care focused series that reviews the latest beauty and personal care products worth keeping on hand and around the house at all times. For sleep, we have a series out to explain all the sleep apps, smart bed, and wearables. With the help of a sleep expert, we'll break down the results and explain why certain patterns are important and what people can change in order to improve their sleep quality. And to round out the topic video series opportunities, the protection and privacy series will focus on caregiving and take a look at different technologies that solve the challenge of ensuring your loved ones are safe, but from a distance. Think fall detectors, connected pill devices, and more tech that lets you know your vitals and your health and contacts physicians or emergency services proactively before you even know something's up. And the final video opportunity is This Is My Wellness, which is going to give a behind the scenes look at some of the most influential people in the wellness space. Audiences love looking into the personal lives of people that they admire, and they look to them to find inspiration for their own challenges. So we're offering a series that lets them do just that. So with all these ideas I just ran through, I know there's a lot, Edit is always open to covering unique angles that a brand may be passionate about. So just reach out to me if you have any questions or specific brands interested in one of these during the second half of the year. And so does anyone have any questions? Cool. Okay, so the presentations Nikki and I just gave are the first of a few to come from our team. So over the next month, our team is going to continue showcasing our second half of the year opportunities with holiday coming up next week, followed by games, 5G, and a few more. You'll see a lot of consistency with these initiatives, but it all ties back to the notion that people are relying on trusted sources more than ever. And CNET's that trusted source for millions and will continue to be that as the world evolves and new norms begin to settle. Last note is that Nikki also created a general CMG deck to help with the most up-to-date positioning that we included in Quick Hits yesterday. It's a high-level deck at the verticals and complement the more in-depth decks that each of us will be showcasing for our respective initiatives, just like Nikki and I did for wellness and personal finance. And for the purposes of sales training, we're just going to continue to spend time discussing how these insights we're seeing are translating into sponsorable opportunities for your clients. So throughout these whole presentations, always reach out if you have any questions, and we really appreciate the time. Let's kick it back to you, Natalie.
Great, thanks Michelle and Nikki. That was great, those CMG updates there. And just a reminder that this Quick Hits live training, it's definitely, we're open to questions at this time, or you can chat them in the chat function in your Zoom, and I can ask them on your behalf, whatever works best for you. And of course, reach out to the presenters afterwards with any questions. Okay, so now let's go over to sports. Claire's gonna walk us through horse racing, and then Pete will walk us through NFL.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Natalie. So it was recently announced that the Belmont Stakes horse race will take place on June 20th. This marks the beginning of the Triple Crown races, which will run out of their traditional order for the first time since 1931. The Kentucky Derby, that usually runs the first week of May, has been postponed to September 5th, with the Preakness rounding out the Triple Crown on October 3rd. While this expanded schedule presents some new challenges for the horses themselves, it's good news for us at CBS Sports Digital. What typically only takes about 4 weeks to complete now spans 5 months, allowing us to create more content and keep the conversation moving all the way into Q4. While we don't host the races, CBS Sports Digital's team does cover the Triple Crown with updates, news, and analysis from each leg. This one-pager provides quick snapshot of some of CBSSports.com's audience metrics, as well as turnkey opportunities that the team can easily execute on. As always, with time allotted, we have the ability to create more custom opportunities for brands. And we even have some interactive ideas in the resource guide that was in Quick Hits that can be used to surround the 2 races later in the year. I also want to note that although this one-pager, the accompanying resource guide, and media plans are all primarily focused on the 3 legs of the Triple Crown, if an advertiser is looking to surround a different race, like the Breeders' Cup, Travers Stakes, or Arlington Million, we can definitely look to create opportunities around those as well. Lastly, just to leave you with 3 words to help you remember this one-pager and the opportunities within, I would say that these are high-impact, affordable, and turnkey opportunities. So with that, feel free to reach out to me with any questions or if you guys need any additional information. And now I will hike it over to Pete to kick off the NFL.
Wow, you did it. You went there. Thank you, Claire. So yeah, NFL, this is obviously one of the biggest releases, if not the biggest release for us at CBS Sports Digital. Before I get into the deck, I did want to cover off on a few things and a few points just to make that aren't necessarily covered or spoken to directly within the slides. So first, I think just important to give everyone a quick update on status of the NFL season. As we currently sit here today on May 26th, the NFL is preparing to play their season as scheduled with full fans in attendance. Obviously, that is a bit ambitious and something that's hopeful and wishful thinking, but nonetheless, that's the plan. Obviously, there's a good amount of time between now and the start of the season. So if medical professionals or state governments deem it unsafe, the NFL does have contingency plans in place, whether that's, partial fan attendance or no fans. So like everything, it's a little bit of a wait and see, but I'd imagine you guys get that question a lot from your prospective clients. So just something to keep in mind and keep an eye on over the course of the next few weeks. Second, obviously everyone knows this is a Super Bowl year for us, Super Bowl 55, back on CBS after only a 1-year break, which is definitely not the norm, but we're excited to have it back. I think you'll see in the deck, we tease out, a Super Bowl specific opportunity around HQ and our coverage down in Tampa all week long there. But important to note, for those of you really eager to get into selling Super Bowl, we will be releasing a Super Bowl specific opportunities deck later on this summer. That's going to be a collaborative joint effort between our team, CBS Broadcast, CBS Sports Network, Cable, as well as any other the CBSI digital properties and legacy Viacom properties that will be participating as well. So keep an eye out for that. We'll keep you posted on timing. Couple other things just quickly before I get in. Nickelodeon wildcard game. I know that's a hot topic. It should be. It's a unique opportunity this year. It's certainly a first to market opportunity. We don't have specific details or concrete details on that yet. We just know that it will be a separately produced telecast that is obviously tailored to a younger audience. That game is one of our AFC wildcard games, which will take place on January 10th, 2021 at 4:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, as soon as those updates, which will really funnel from the broadcast team, become available, we'll be releasing those and updating you guys via Quick Hits as soon as possible. Couple other just quick things to point out. As far as what you see in the NFL deck, it is a beast of a deck. Just know that what is reflected in there we're not limited to just those ideas. We've got the ability to work with you guys on any other custom opportunities that might fit your brand's budgets or needs. So it is not an end all be all. There's a lot of opportunities in there, but we are more than happy to work with you guys on any other custom opportunities that may work for your clients. And yeah, just as far as anything relates to specific questions, I would really encourage everyone to sit down with the deck, to go through it, and also to go through the NFL resource guide. There is a ton of additional and supplemental sales support documents in there. Everything from frequently asked questions to the NFL schedule to list of official partners, to live streaming performance, live streaming demos. We really tried to make that document as comprehensive as possible. Just trying to anticipate all the questions you guys get. So please spend some time to go through those documents when you get a chance. All right, enough with the boring updates. We're gonna jump into the deck here. Get my screen going. All right, I think everyone should see that. So yeah, first and foremost, just want to give a big thanks to everyone who contributed on this one. Like I said, it's a beast of a deck. Specifically, Studio 61 design team, they did an incredible job, as you'll see, as well as everyone from Sports IM to Client Solutions and sales weighing in. As I said earlier, it's a cliche, but this one does take a village. So appreciate everyone's efforts on coming together here. I think the most important thing, or one of the most important things just to note, is we did this a little bit different than what we've done in the past. In the past, we've created an NFL deck and then a fantasy football deck. And I think we just realized that it just makes more sense to have this as one comprehensive deck. Oftentimes the fantasy football conversation, the NFL conversation are going hand in hand. So instead of creating two separate documents for you guys to find on DocSend and toggle between, it just made sense to combine everything. So a little bit different this year. Hopefully that makes everyone's lives easier. So as we go through, and it might take a little bit of time here to transition, but if we go through these slides here. So I think everyone obviously super aware of the size, the strength, the power, the reach of the NFL. That said, it wouldn't be an NFL deck without providing you guys with a couple of power stats that I think are just good to jumpstart any conversation when you're talking to your clients. So on this slide, we really wanted to help demonstrate that. I think it's important to note that, when it comes to overall TV usage, we are seeing across the marketplace just declines, but the NFL is a little bit of an outlier here as they continue to be able to generate viewership growth, and they did in 2019, up 5%. So it's really kind of just reinforcing, a truth we already know, which is it's the most popular and valuable property in media. Again, as far as a couple quick stats that are fun, 223 million, or about 68% of the country, tuned into an NFL game last year, which amassed over 7.2 billion hours watched. Don't think you can really say that about many other properties out there. Again, a couple more stats here that I think are super helpful when you want to contextualize NFL and its performance against, Prime. If you take a look at the average NFL audience among all networks and game windows, that average audience is around 16.5 million. The average Prime audience across all networks is about 5.9 million. And then if you look at 2019 as a whole, when you look at the top 50 and 100 most watched programs of the year, the NFL was responsible for 41 of the top 50 and 73 of the top 100. Again, just other stats to kind of reinforce something that we already know to be inherently true, but that there's really nothing else like the NFL out there. And then moving forward, as you can see, some of the beautiful work Justin and team pulled together for the deck here. NFL on CBS. So we're a little bit cheeky with this slide here, but I think it's a really good slide for a number of reasons. One, the numbers and information you see here reflect 2019 year, not the 2019-2020 season, just the 2019 full calendar year. So within the full calendar year, we had on CBS the most watched regular season game, which was this past Thanksgiving Day game, my Buffalo Bills defeating the Dallas Cowboys. We had the most watched playoff game. It obviously doesn't include the Super Bowl, which was the AFC Championship. And then the most watched event, which was Super Bowl 53. And then looking ahead, obviously this year we've got the Super Bowl back. So we kind of wanted to show it in this way because, if you look at 2019 as a whole, it's a good comparison of what we can expect and anticipate for, 2020 and 2021, knowing that we've got the Super Bowl back on our air. 2020 NFL calendar. Obviously, this is a sweet spot for a lot of brands. Many brands are looking to close out the year in that valuable Q4 sales period to close out, their sales for the year with high numbers. The NFL really is, top in class when it comes to providing that reach, scale, and audience. And just to reinforce the fact that, CBS is really, the premium destination for NFL fans. 53% of our total CBSSports.com unique visitors during the 2019 season visited our NFL content. So more than half of the people that are coming to CBSSports.com during the months of the season are coming there to consume NFL. Standing out in a crowded space. So I think this is a great slide and super helpful for you guys when you're out having conversations with your clients, and you're faced with the question of, why CBS or why Viacom CBS. And I think this is a great one to reference. This will give you kind of an overview of, our advantages, how we stand out compared to our competitors. I'm not going to run through it, line by line here, but definitely a helpful one for you to reference moving forward, whether it's, a conversation around our 24/7 live and free unauthenticated OTT network, which is obviously CBS Sports HQ. The fact that this year we actually have 5 of the 12 playoff games, including Super Bowl 53, content partnerships. There are a lot of ways that you can look at it, and every which way you look at it, CBS has a distinct advantage from our competitors. The NFL conversation has kind of evolved from one that, typically was a, Friday, Saturday, Sunday conversation to really one that revolves around the entire week. So whether it's CBSSports.com, CBS Sports HQ, fantasy football, or social, we are constantly reaching NFL fans with our content. It is kind of an always on approach, making sure we're delivering the latest news, information, highlights, analysis, keeping those fans informed, while really limiting any of that opinion-based chatter that you see on some of our competitors like ESPN. Our fans are really coming here for NFL content and for knowledge-based content. They want to be armed with the information and latest news. They don't really care what our personalities have to say in terms of their opinions. And then I'm going to jump quickly just to our opportunities slide. So we've bucketed this in a few different categories: countdown to kickoff, game day and Super Bowl, post-game, fantasy, and do even more. So I think what I first want to get into or highlight for you guys is, as I mentioned, we will have a Super Bowl specific deck released later on this summer, but as a teaser and to hold folks over until that deck comes out, I did want to highlight our HQ Super Bowl week sponsorship opportunity. So as everyone knows, we'll be down in Tampa all week long leading up to the Super Bowl. HQ will have a set down there. We will be going live from that set, as well from our studio sets in Stamford and Fort Lauderdale. The way we are going about selling this is we're opening this up to 6 presenting sponsorships. So the idea is that each presenting sponsor will be able to own an entire day of our coverage for Super Bowl week, starting on Monday all the way up through Super Bowl Sunday. And on Super Bowl Sunday, all 6 of those sponsors will be rotated throughout the day to ensure that, they're all getting their share of exposure on the biggest day in sports and the biggest day in media. So with that, I think this is a great one if you have some clients that are interested in the Super Bowl. and they're wondering what some of our marquee positions are, I would certainly keep this top of mind. This is a great place to at least kick off those conversations. And, we can always explore more custom opportunities should that be of interest. Next, I just want to jump down because I'm not going to be able to jump through all of these slides. There's 60 some plus slides here. I do want to call out our Do Even More section, which was a big group effort on the parts of our IMP team, Studio 61, the Influence team, and others. I think there's a lot of great opportunities here. Clearly we have tons of, turnkey sponsorship and franchise opportunities surrounding the game, whether that's leading up to the game, game day opportunities between live streaming, our halftime show on HQ, and then post-game opportunities around power rankings and, highlights throughout the game. I think one of the things we would love to call out here is that the IMP team is offering, the ability to retarget folks that are seeing ads run on our broadcast or on All Access. So the ability to kind of continue that conversation across not only CBSSports.com but our CBSI network, I think is something that we're seeing an increased amount of interest and ask around. The ability to continuously engage them and reinforce that brand messaging is something that we would certainly recommend you guys having those conversations and trying to build that into plans wherever possible. As far as some of the content opportunities, which obviously become increasingly important when brands are looking to extend beyond kind of the X's and O's and traditional opportunities surrounding the NFL. We do have Harvey, Jenna, and Trisha from the Influence team, kind of a new tool for some of the folks who on the legacy CBS side, but ability to tap into their Influence platform, which I think will be a really valuable tool. So I really, really encourage people to explore this avenue. If you have brands that are looking to involve influence campaigns. And as far as branded content goes, we have a number of great opportunities put together by our Studio 61 team, revolving around a variety of ideas that I would definitely encourage you to comb through. We've only included one in the deck for now, but Macklin and team have put together a handful of great opportunities, and we're always here to kind of brainstorm and create additional custom concepts as needed or as desired for your client base. And lastly, just want to call out that we do have content partnerships in place, which many of you know or are familiar with. The Players Tribune is one that we've partnered with for the past few years. Clearly, they bring a unique ability to the table in the sense of their access to athletes and that athlete first storytelling perspective. And then most recently we partnered with Overtime Sports, which I believe some of you are familiar with, but they're really leaders in the space of reaching that young Gen Z audience, very socially led. It's a tremendous complement to our offering, where we reach kind of the more traditional age demographics and traditional sports fans. Overtime really excels in the social space and reaching some of those younger sports fans that have been a little bit more difficult for us, or where we see less traction on our sports properties. So last but not least, I'd get into just calling out some category intelligence slides that Ben Belmont and team put together. These are extremely helpful and useful. It's a great resource. They've put them together for a number of different categories, including automotives, consumer electronics, QSRs, beer, and more. So if you are calling on any clients that fall into those categories, these are great slides for you to reference and include within any of your proposals and pitch decks as we look to sell NFL for this season, be it regular season or playoffs. So that's really it. I'll open it up to questions, I guess, before I kick it over to Lee, who's going to offer some insights and perspective from the sales side.
I think we just have one question about talent. If we have a list of talent that are already affiliated with brands that we can use for NFL fanfluencers. We can check back with the BPNI team to learn more about this. But Pete, that slide that you showed with those 8 or so influencers was really helpful.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend, and I'm more than happy to reach back out to the team on this. This is just a sample list of influence talent that that we've worked with in the past, and their team affiliations of the teams that they root for. I think they've probably either have or can pull together a more exhaustive list. If it's a specific team that's of interest, we can obviously go back and look further into that for that brand.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Cool. So I'll just add a little bit of color. The only thing I'll add to what Pete said is make sure you lean on your Sports Center of Excellence counterpart here too. We can help sort of demystify a lot of this language and the rights package and things like that. So that's what we're here for. So continue to do so. Just some top line insight, and Pete covered off on a lot of this, but Viacom CBS is home to over 100 regular season games and postseason games. So we have this new wild card game that's going to be airing on Nickelodeon. Then, of course, we have Super Bowl. And Super Bowl is the biggest event in sports and also the biggest event in media. So as he said, there's going to be a lot more to come there. So we won't touch on a ton. But we sell 100% live in-game inventory that's dynamically ad inserted, and it's across mobile devices. Our schedule is AFC leaning. So this year we're going to be boasting young talent like defending Super Bowl champ Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, Baker Mayfield. And then we also have new, really dynamic, exciting quarterbacks that are coming in through the draft this year, and Joe Burrow going to Cincinnati, and Tua Tagovailoa, who's gone to Miami. So our season is kicking off on September 13th, and we're really excited, fingers crossed, like Pete said. We're really bullish and positive in the marketplace about kicking off live. So the only other thing I'll say about the NFL package is it's massive and it's grown substantially over the past few years. So because we have so much volume and reach, strategize with your sports COE and be proactive in the marketplace. I think Blake will agree with this, and Terry and Flato and Neil and all the other sports leads over the years. So much of our NFL deals do not come through RFPs. They're proactive plans that we put out there in the marketplace based on our conversations. And then lastly, the only thing I'll say about fantasy and what I think is most compelling about it is it's really loyal, it's affluent, and they're super engaged. So we have the #1 fantasy football podcast with its corresponding daily show on CBS Sports HQ, and our top talent who have won awards year over year in Dave and Jamie. And we also have a paid fantasy platform that has a retention of over 95%. So if you think about our competitors in the space, ESPN and Yahoo, they're free products, but ours is much more customizable. It feels a lot more personalized, I guess. So we see a huge retention rate there. So they're a really qualified audience that leans heavily in before the season starts. So we start to see them starting to come and look for content in late July, early August, super heavily late August. Labor Day is kind of like our key time. And then they're usually fading by about mid-November, because then you're sort of weeding out playoffs at that point. So that's really all I have. Again, lean on the sports team. We're happy to help you guys in any conversations. We know it's a lot of information.
Cool. Thanks, Lee. So yeah, Natalie, I think that's it for us, unless there are any other questions that popped up.
Hey, Pete, I actually do have a question for you.
Sure.
Super Bowl HQ on the week opportunity for the 6 sponsors. Do we have to approach the official NFL sponsors first, or is it fair game to anyone?
No, it's fair game to anyone. I think if you have a client roster that includes NFL officials, I would recommend obviously touching base with them just to see where they are in their planning process. I think what we've found collectively in our conversations with broadcast team and cable team is that typically we would see the Super Bowl marketplace moving right around this time period, but given all of the events and uncertainty right now, I think it's moving at a different pace than it has historically. So I would say that reach out to them just to see where they are in their planning process and see if this is something of interest. Obviously, them with officials, we have more leeway to allow for certain types of executions and branding plays that may not be available to others. So by all means, I would say start with them, but it is open to others.
Yeah, I would just add, look, ideally for those spots, we would like them to be larger deals where we have linear and cable and digital all combined to drive the most amount of revenue possible. On one-off occasions, if there are opportunities, we'll work with everyone to bring in as much money as we can. But for those key positions, ideally, if they are extensions of a linear deal, that's probably where we would like to use them. But there will be 50 to 100 different opportunities that we have out there to make sure that we can take every dollar that we can take.
Okay, great. And I'll just add, there was a question about the NFL schedule on CBS. And just to note, in Quick Hits, in the NFL section, there's the resource guide link. Make sure to check that out. That has an overview of the NFL, demos, as well as schedule on CBS. So lots of helpful information in that resource guide. All right, so that covers it.
A quick shout out to Pete. Happy birthday, Pete.
Happy
Really?
birthday.
Thought we were gonna get through that without that.
Nope.
Hey, Pete.
No, we certainly were not getting through that. So.
Yeah, appreciate it.
All right, great way to end today's Quick Hits Live. Thank you all for joining, and reach out to anyone on IM or sales for any questions, and we'll see you all next week, same time, same place. All right, thanks everyone. Bye.